Have you ever noticed something strange? The thing you keep avoiding does not disappear. It waits. It waits in your room when you are scrolling at 2 a.m. It waits in your bank account when you refuse to look at the numbers. It waits in your body when you keep saying, "I'll start Monday." It waits in your relationships when you avoid the hard conversation. It waits in your mind when you know you are capable of more, but keep living beneath your own potential. And one day, what started as a small discomfort becomes your entire life. That is the cruel truth most people learn too late. The pain you avoid today becomes the life you hate tomorrow. Not because you are weak. Not because you are broken. But because every time you escape the uncomfortable thing, you train your brain to fear it more. You avoid discipline, and slowly become trapped in regret. You avoid focus, and slowly become addicted to distraction. You avoid responsibility, and slowly become controlled by consequences. And the scariest part? Nobody notices at first. Your life does not fall apart in one dramatic moment. It slowly becomes smaller, quieter, less alive. Until one day you look in the mirror and wonder, how did I become this version of myself? But here is the good news. The same way avoidance builds a life you hate, facing small pain builds a life you respect. And by the end of this video, you will understand why your discomfort is not your enemy. It is the doorway. It is the signal. It is the price of becoming someone you are proud of. Because the life you want is not hiding behind motivation. It is hiding behind the pain you keep avoiding. Most people think their biggest problem is lack of time. But that is not true. Their biggest problem is that they keep giving their attention to things that make them feel better now, while quietly stealing their future. A few minutes of scrolling becomes an hour. One skipped workout becomes a month. One avoided task becomes a pattern. One excuse becomes an identity. And the entire time, they tell themselves the same comforting lie. I'll fix it later. But later is not a plan. Later is where dreams go to die quietly. Distraction is dangerous because it does not feel like destruction. It feels harmless. It feels normal. It feels like a break. You open your phone just to check one thing. Then suddenly, your mind is filled with other people's lives, other people's opinions, other people's success, other people's drama. And your own life? It sits there waiting for you to return. That is how time gets wasted. Not always through laziness, but through unconscious escape. You are not just watching videos. You are avoiding silence. You are not just checking notifications. You are avoiding effort. You are not just relaxing. Sometimes, you are running from the uncomfortable truth that your life requires your full attention. And here is the first hard question. What are you calling rest that is actually avoidance? Because real rest restores you. Avoidance weakens you. Real rest gives you energy to return stronger. Avoidance makes you feel heavy, guilty, and even more behind. There is a difference. And deep down, you already know it. You know when you are resting. And you know when you are escaping. This is where transformation begins, not with a dramatic promise, but with brutal honesty. Look at your day. Where does your time go? What do you keep delaying? What task keeps appearing in your mind, but never in your schedule? What dream keeps asking for discipline, while you keep offering excuses? Because the pain you avoid today becomes the life you hate tomorrow. And if you do not control your attention, the world will rent it from you for free. Your comfort zone is not always comfortable. Sometimes it is just familiar. That is why people stay in routines that make them miserable. They stay in jobs they hate. They stay in habits that drain them. They stay in relationships that make them feel small. They stay in versions of themselves they no longer respect. Not because they love that life. Because change feels uncertain. And the brain often prefers a familiar pain over an unfamiliar possibility. That is one of the deepest traps of human behavior. Your brain is designed to protect you, but it does not always know the difference between real danger and emotional discomfort. Starting over feels dangerous. Being judged feels dangerous. Failing feels dangerous. Looking foolish feels dangerous. Disappointing people feels dangerous. So your brain whispers, "Stay where you are. At least you know this pain." But that is how comfort becomes a cage. A comfort zone is not a place where nothing hurts. It is a place where nothing grows. And the longer you stay there, the more your standards adjust downward. At first, you say, "This is temporary." Then you say, "This is just life." Then one day, you stop expecting more from yourself. That is the real tragedy. Not failure. The real tragedy is when a person becomes comfortable with a life that is slowly killing their spirit. You stop applying. You stop creating. You stop training. You stop reading. You stop trying. You stop believing. And then you call it maturity. But it is not maturity. It is surrender wearing adult clothes. There is a version of you that is still alive beneath the excuses. A version that remembers what you wanted before the world taught you to settle. A version that is tired of watching life from the sidelines. But that version will not return because you feel inspired for 5 minutes. It returns when you make a decision. Not a loud decision. Not a public announcement. A private decision. The decision to become unavailable for your old patterns. And this is where the second cliffhanger begins. The moment you stop negotiating with your weakness, your entire identity starts to change. But first, you must understand this. Your life is not controlled by what you want. Your life is controlled by what you tolerate. You may want confidence, but tolerate excuses. You may want success, but tolerate distraction. You may want peace, but tolerate chaos. You may want discipline, but tolerate emotional weakness every time discomfort appears. So ask yourself, what am I tolerating that my future self will hate me for? That question can change your life. Because transformation does not begin when you add something new. It begins when you finally remove what is destroying you. The most powerful changes in life are often silent. No announcement. No dramatic speech. No post. No need to prove anything. Just a person who gets tired of their own excuses and quietly begins again. This is the power of silent transformation. While everyone else is talking about what they are going to do, you start doing it. Quietly. You wake up earlier. You clean your space. You delete the app. You stop replying to pointless drama. You train even when nobody claps. You read even when nobody sees. You work on your craft when nobody understands. You keep promises to yourself in private. And slowly, something changes. Not immediately. Not magically. But deeply. You start trusting yourself again. That is the secret people miss. Confidence does not come from motivational quotes. Confidence comes from evidence. Every time you do what you said you would do, your mind collects proof. Proof that you are reliable. Proof that you can change. Proof that you are not controlled by every mood, every craving, every fear, every distraction. And once you start collecting that proof, your identity shifts. You no longer say, "I'm trying to be disciplined." You begin to think, "I am someone who does not quit." That is a different person. Most people want the result, but they avoid the identity that creates the result. They want the body, but not the training. They want the business, but not the boring consistency. They want the peace, but not the boundaries. They want the respect, but not the self-control. But life does not give you the prize without the process. The process is where you become the person who can handle the prize. This is why silent work is so powerful. Because it strips away performance. Nobody is watching, so your ego cannot feed on applause. Nobody is praising you, so your discipline has to be real. Nobody is forcing you, so your choice becomes honest. That is where character is built. In the quiet. In the boring repetition. In the moments where quitting would be easy and nobody would know. But you would know. And that matters. Because self-respect is built when you become the kind of person you can trust alone. Here is the third hard truth. Your future is being built in the moments you keep dismissing. That 10-minute walk. That one page. That hard conversation. That small saving. That focused hour. That one honest apology. That one night you choose sleep instead of escape. These moments look small. But they are not small. They are votes. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Scroll for 3 hours, and you vote for a distracted identity. Train when you do not feel like it, and you vote for a disciplined identity. Tell the truth when it is uncomfortable, and you vote for courage. Do the work when nobody cares, and you vote for greatness. You do not become unrecognizable in one day. You become unrecognizable by refusing to betray yourself one small moment at a time. So how do you actually change? Not emotionally. Not temporarily. Not for 1 week. But for real. Start with this: choose one pain you will stop avoiding. Not 10. Not your entire life at once. 1. Maybe it is waking up earlier. Maybe it is going to the gym. Maybe it is applying for better jobs. Maybe it is leaving a toxic situation. Maybe it is studying every night. Maybe it is facing your finances. Maybe it is finally creating instead of consuming. Choose the one discomfort that would improve the rest of your life if you stopped running from it. Then make it small enough to do today. This matters because your brain resists big change, but it can accept small proof. Do not say, "I will change my whole life tomorrow." Say, "Today, I will do 20 minutes of the thing I have been avoiding." 20 minutes. No drama. No excuse. No negotiation. Set a timer. Put the phone away. Start. The goal is not perfection. The goal is identity. You are teaching yourself, "I do not run from this anymore." That one message, repeated daily, can rebuild your entire mind. Next, practice what psychologists often call exposure. That means you slowly face the thing you fear instead of avoiding it. The more you avoid something, the scarier it becomes. The more you face it, the more your brain learns, "I can survive this." Afraid of failure? Do one thing where failure is possible. Afraid of judgment? Create something and let it be imperfect. Afraid of discomfort? Do one hard thing every day on purpose. Cold shower. Hard workout. Focused work session. Difficult conversation. Turning your phone off. Sitting alone with your thoughts. Not because suffering makes you better by itself, but because voluntary discomfort trains emotional strength. You learn that discomfort is not death. It is information. It tells you where growth is waiting. Also, build a night ritual. Your future is often won or lost the night before. Before you sleep, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I avoid today? What did that avoidance cost me? What is one uncomfortable action I will take tomorrow? Write it down. Do not trust your mood tomorrow. Your mood changes. Your plan should not. And when tomorrow comes, do the action before your mind starts debating. Because hesitation is where old habits enter. You do not need to feel ready. Readiness often arrives after action, not before it. There is an old pattern in every successful life. At some point, the person stops waiting to feel confident and starts acting while uncertain. That is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. Think about anyone who quietly changed their life. The athlete nobody believed in. The writer who kept writing with no audience. The immigrant who worked 2 jobs while studying at night. The single mother who rebuilt her future one exhausted day at a time. The student who failed once, then came back sharper. The person who lost everything and refused to become bitter. Their success often looks sudden from the outside. But from the inside, it was invisible work. It was years of small choices. Years of rejected excuses. Years of doing the next right thing without applause. People only see the moment the door opens. They do not see all the nights spent knocking. And that is why you must stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Your path may be quiet right now. Good. Quiet seasons build dangerous people. Not dangerous in a harmful way. Dangerous because they are no longer easy to distract. Dangerous because they have met their own weakness and stopped obeying it. Dangerous because they do not need applause to continue. Dangerous because they understand the cost of avoidance. And once a person understands the cost, they stop playing with their life. So let's bring this back. The pain you avoid today becomes the life you hate tomorrow. Avoid discipline, and you build regret. Avoid truth, and you build confusion. Avoid responsibility, and you build chaos. Avoid discomfort, and you build weakness. Avoid growth, and you build resentment toward people who did what you refused to do. But when you face the pain, everything changes. Not instantly, but honestly. You become clearer. You become stronger. You become calmer. You become harder to manipulate. You become more focused. You become more proud of the person you are becoming. And there is real psychology behind this. Your brain changes through repetition. What you repeatedly do becomes easier to do again. Avoidance strengthens the habit of avoidance. Courage strengthens the habit of courage. Focus strengthens the habit of focus. You are not stuck with your current patterns. But you are responsible for interrupting them. Nobody is coming to live your life for you. Nobody can build your discipline for you. Nobody can feel your regret for you. Nobody can rescue you from the consequences of your own repeated choices. That may sound harsh. But it is also freeing. Because if your choices helped create the life you have now, then your choices can help create something different. You are not powerless. You are just untrained in facing the right kind of pain. So here is your challenge. For the next 7 days, choose one uncomfortable action and do it every day. 1. Not for motivation. Not for social media. Not to impress anyone. Do it to prove to yourself that you are still in control. Work on the skill. Make the call. Clean the room. Go to the gym. Study the chapter. Send the application. Set the boundary. Tell the truth. Sit down and create. And when your mind says, "Not today," answer it with action. Because that voice has already taken enough from you. Your old life will not disappear without a fight. Your old habits will beg for one more day. Your old excuses will sound reasonable. Your old comfort zone will remind you how easy it is to go back. But remember this. Easy now often becomes painful later. Painful now often becomes powerful later. Choose your pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of honesty or the pain of denial. The pain of starting over or the pain of staying stuck. The pain of being misunderstood now or the pain of never becoming who you were meant to be. You do not need to change everything tonight. But you do need to stop lying to yourself. You know what you are avoiding. And deep down, you know what it is costing you. So after this video ends, do not just feel inspired. Move. Take one action so small your excuses cannot defeat it. 5 minutes. 1 page. 1 rap. 1 message. 1 step. Because the future is not built in your imagination. It is built in your behavior. And one day, You will meet the person you became because of the choices you made when nobody was watching. Make sure that person thanks you. Not because life was easy, but because you finally stopped running. The pain you avoid today becomes the life you hate tomorrow. But the pain you face today becomes the strength you live with forever. So choose the pain that builds you. And become the person your future self is begging you to become.